but then it pushes the
What are you pushing into the skin, Sarah? Sandra?
Sarah?
Carrie? What are you pushing into the skin?
Well, you push in whatever the facialist would like to insert into your pores.
But what is it?
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away, and they somehow figured out how to extract.
It's foreskin from a Korean baby.
Hello and welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey, chapter 405. It is the first day of the week, aka the Kamehameha workout. I'm feeling very good right now, very excited for this workout. But anyways, to the main subject matter for today, humiliation rituals. So the main reason why I wanted to discuss this is because this is something that I've noticed quite a bit and has been a reoccurring theme in a lot of stuff. I think that a lot of things now, particularly when you get more and more popular, have just become weird humiliation rituals, whether you're in some particular niche or into another. Hell, even the gym one has a humiliation ritual, which we'll get to in the voiceover. I think that it's part of some type of weird thing that happens where for some reason we are put into a situation that we shouldn't be putting ourselves to or subjugated to. And we weirdly have to humble ourselves, but also it's not in a normal way. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about that, why it's probably not good, and also the amount of humiliation rituals we don't see but find out about later on, and or maybe used as extortion material. But those are ones that we don't know about and can only speculate about, but we can get into that when we get into that. But personally, I hope to God I never have to do one of these stupid fucking things. I think it's very stupid on a lot of different levels, not because I would be humiliated, but that's not the entire point. I think there's a weird underlying nature to them, which makes them more soul crushing than people want to believe or realize that they are. So we'll get into that and a lot of other details when we get to Mother Base.
All right, so start this day off with dips, which are pretty good. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. Humiliation rituals. So the main reason why I want to discuss this is because this seems to happen in all circles of popularity, whether it be Hollywood or the internet or the government even, but we'll get to that in a bit. It happens all the time. Hell, even niches have their own quote-unquote humiliation rituals. For example, in the gym, currently the big one that is happening in the gym space is that diamond gym area where people will go and do these workouts, which are quite frankly retarded is the best way to describe it, but yet people will quote-unquote survive it. But in reality, it's just a place where they can get demeaned and basically look like a bitch basically the entire time. But that's not the only type of humiliation rituals that are out there. We see this a lot in Hollywood where people will end up getting roles or putting on the dress or cross-dressing or doing other things that would be quite literally embarrassing for most people, but in this case is seen as a necessary evil in order to advance their career forward. I think mostly of John Cena in the movie Blockers, where he ended up being butt naked for a scene and for some stupid reason, and it felt like it was very embarrassing. It was like, oh geez, why do people do this? And even in the video in the front, you could see that this was obviously a joke, but it wasn't really obviously a joke. There's a lot of layers to that first part that I've showed in the Ellen interview, but in reality, the entire interview there was a humiliation for Sandra Bullock for some reason or another, as she had to have done something in order for this to happen. I think a lot of the time people want to pretend these things don't exist, but in reality, they exist a lot more than we can even try to conceive. So many things that are used as blackmail or as torture from others in order to dehumanize and degrade others in order to allow them into a certain club here or there. And that's what usually happens. I would hate to think of the ones that we don't even know about, because there probably exists a bunch in the government, as we know that blackmail is a huge factor there, specifically from certain three-letter agencies, as well as those from outside of the US that have very vested interest in the US. This is something that happens quite often. We have to sit there and we wonder, why would somebody put themselves through something like this? And that is because they know that this is going to be the next level in order to achieve whatever they want to go. This opens doors for them. You can see this as well with other people and other industries like music as well. Infamously, I believe it was Ludacris who put on the dress, or he did something along those lines, and then thus all of a sudden right after, Grammy nominations. It seems as though there is always some type of embarrassing thing that they end up doing that then all of a sudden they get huge. There are a lot of people in the internet realm too that will have, deviant pasts that are used against them, so that way when they become popular, if those deviant pasts come back to bite them in the ass, well, it was there from the beginning. There are a lot of people working in the shadowness of the world and how things work out. It's very terrible in the certain sense that it's hard to escape it, because I bet there are a bunch of people out there that have decided to not do the embarrassing thing, not go down that rabbit hole, and then thus have missed out on it. And we've probably missed out on some good art or culture or content or whatever, because these people refuse to play the game, and understandably so, because the game is rigged to make you a laughing stock at a certain point, and then the only way to get up from there is just to work your way up and pray that it doesn't come back and bite you in the ass, or for people to be blind to it, which a lot of people are, unfortunately.
And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercises not filmed, none. Exercises skipped. We have one, the rice bucket, because I gotta go. It is late. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. The humiliation ritual. So the main reason why I wanted to discuss this is because it seems as though the commonality of this is starting to grow more and more. It seems as though that every famous or person that has some type of modicum of celebrity status, whether it be internet only or whatever, has to kind of go through this weird humiliation ritual. It's kind of interesting. I think that it's even getting down to the dating world, where people will have to grovel in order to get whatever they want, according to one sex, but that's kind of a different story. The main reason why I wanted to discuss this is because it seems as though it's almost like a weird extortion-like level of something, like you have to pay this price in order to continue on or keep going in the levels of fame. It was probably something that happened a lot in Hollywood that has probably creeped into the internet scene, because it seems as though nowadays, really, these types of things, these humiliation rituals end up becoming broadcasted to people and then end up becoming the launching platform for said person. Realistically, if your daughter was the hawk to a girl, I don't think that wouldn't be a humiliation ritual. I mean, realistically, think about that. That is your name and your claim to fame is literally about you sucking dick. All right, so like that's just humiliating, regardless of whether you want it to, whether you think about it or not. If your tag is you slept with 1,000 men, that's humiliation right there. That's just a thing. And some people are into it in a weird sexual way, but that's a different story. This one is more about how I think that it is a weird, it's a weird ritual that happens quite often, where people will want to see the clown be clowning, basically, and people will use that against them for what is the rest of time, really. Some people do escape it. I'm not saying everybody is capable of escaping it, but a lot of them do. A lot of them pivot out of it or will just play it off, because there are some people who can play it off, but there are other people who get bogged down by it, trapped by it, forever held down by it, because they weren't able to survive past it. And it sucks, because then that just takes them down, really. It's like a weird power trip between those who are in power and those who allow those to become into that club. I don't know why it always happens like that. It seems as though from Hollywood down to the geopolitical sphere to internet, all of the same type of style comes through. You all the same type of ritualistic things come through, and it's very interesting to me. I think that this is something that, unfortunately, most people would like to avoid, but I don't think that you can avoid unless you find a specific way to get around it or do some other stuff. But that's kind of a different story for another day, because probably can't talk about that stuff on YouTube. But this in particular seems as though there is this like the glass ceiling almost in a weird way, where they don't allow you to proceed forward. And if they do, you have to basically get around them some way, somehow, some shape, some form, which is probably the hardest thing to do possibly. It seems very rarely where those people will get around that. There's always the gatekeepers, but in this case, it's not necessarily gatekeepers, but more so along the lines of those controlling the puppet strings behind the scenes. But who are those people? We can't talk about that. But I think personally, if I can avoid it, I fucking will as much as I can. But obviously, I'm not going to do anything that is going to jeopardize how I feel about myself, especially when looking in the camera. I'd rather just fucking say fuck it, There are certain things that you don't want to pay for. And one of them, you pay for like that with your soul. And I think that a lot of people who do it underestimate that or do not give a fuck about that. And that's an issue, but more so a personal issue. But we will talk about that when it comes to good and evil and the soul on a different day. But with that being said, tell me what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about this one. If you have any ideas or thoughts of whenever you've heard somebody having to go into a ritual, humiliation ritual, whether it be in the small, like in your world, or somebody famous or whatever, where you think, man, that's embarrassing, or something along those lines, please let me know in the comment section down below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with anybody who may or may not like it. I will be back on tomorrow with a new video. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. Keep it heavy. Stay safe out there. Stay warm. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.